Hi, and welcome into another video on this channel. So today we'll be talking about Terraform and specifically about how we can create multiple resources. Let's say we have an EC2 and want to create 5, 10, or even 20 of them. We will explore two possibilities. We will be exploring a count and for each in Terraform. So let's hop into the VS Code and work on that. Alright, so we are in our VS Studio Code and in our Terraform project. The things that we will be exploring today, we have VPC here already created and deployed. It consists only of two public subnets and two private ones. We have a NAT gateway, internet gateway, and so on and so on. This is also a part of another video on this channel. If you would like to watch it, please go to Terraform playlist. And here we have a blank minetf in which we will create two EC2 resources. But firstly, let's go to variables. And here we have only right now AMI and instance type. So let's create two variables. One will be for a count and one will be used for a for each. So let's create variable EC2 count. And here we will do of, let's say, default of 2. So the count will be used just with an integer. So either you want to create 1 resource, 10 resource, 20 of the same resource. We are just giving integer value, and then we will reference this count. Another example will be the for each. So let's code it already as we are in the variables file. So let's do variable EC2, let's call it for each. And here we will do a default of an object, and it will have, let's say, instance 1, and instance 1 will have an, let's say, maybe we will change instance type to maybe T2 micro, not the T3 as we have a default one. And the second instance, okay, let's call it instance 1, and let's do an instance 2, which will be also T2 micro. So the idea about the for each will be that we will be iterating through each key in this object and taking the data out of it, or this instance 1 as a value, but it will make more sense when we will start to code that. So maybe let's split the screen to see everything. And here we will go to main.tf. And let's start to build our resources. Maybe let's firstly start with the count. So we will do resource AWS instance, because this is the resource name for the EC2 instance, and let's call it EC2 count. And here we will take the count, because this is actually how we use the count. So we will be doing count. I have a typo here. Resource. Okay, we will take count, and count we will take from var EC2 count. Then we will use this AMI and this instance type. So let's do AMI, which will be equal to var EC2 AMI. Let's do instance type, which will be equal to var EC2 instance type, and then throw it also into a subnet. So here we have a subnet ID, and we will throw it into, let's see how our subnet structure look like. So here we have our VPC, and we have AWS subnet resource. So we will reference this AWS subnet, and let's deploy it either in private, either in public. That doesn't matter for today. So let's do private subnet 1 and .id, and here will be our basic idea about it. So let's do Terraform FMT maybe. Let's do Terraform validate. Okay, everything is fine. And let's do Terraform apply. We will see the plan first if everything works. So here we can see, let me make it a little bigger, that we will create two EC2s. Because we are using this count, so for count 0 and for count 1. So let's run it. It should take no more than 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, and our instances are created. So let's go to our browser. And here I already logged into our AWS account. Let's go to EC2. And here we have, as you can see, two instances running of T3 micro. So we deployed just that using the count. So that's the basic approach regarding count. And now let's think about how to approach the same using for each. So for each gives us a lot more flexibility on how we can set up, because as you can see here, we created instance type, but we can create also AMI, subnets here, and so on, and reference these values. So count gives us the same instances, everything the same, like just multiplies the resources. The one thing that we can do is, let's say, use this index of the current EC2 count and maybe inject it into the name, but that's the thing that we can do. But as you can see in for each, we can do a lot more. So let's do another resource of AWS instance, and now it will be EC2 for each. And here we used this count clause. Now we will use for each clause and for each from var EC2. For each, what we want to do? We want to do exactly the same. So we will take AMI, instance type, and subnet ID, but we will do it this way. So it will be AMI, it will be instance type, and it will be subnet ID, but subnet ID actually will remain the same. AMI will actually remain the same. But in instance type, as we noticed, we declared the instance type. So we can reference this instance type and we can refer it in this particular way. So we will do on each dot value dot instance type. So the first hierarchical level will be done each clause, and in each object we are referencing to a value, so to the value of the instance type. We can also use each dot key, which we will see right now, to use it for the naming, and it will reference this. So let's create ourselves a tags here, clause, and in tags we will do a name of each key. So this block, how we will go about it. So we are creating those resources in a for each loop. So for each key value pair out of this object, we will be creating an EC2 instance. The AMI will be the same. The subnet ID will be the same. As I mentioned, you can embed it there. The instance type will change. So we can do it on each value instance type. And maybe for the difference, let's do one in T2 micro and the second in T3 micro. And then in tags, we will use a name tag, and the name will correspond to the key. So it will be either this instance 1 or either this instance 2. So let's do Terraform FMT, let's do Terraform validate, and let's do Terraform apply. And here, another 2 new resources. But as you can see already, let me make it a little bit bigger, The first resource will be T2 micro, and it will have a name of instance 1. The second resource will have a T3 micro and the name of instance 2. So that corresponds to this EC2 for each object exactly. So instance 1 T2 micro, instance 2 T3 micro. So let's apply it, and after waiting around 10 to 15 seconds, we will be able to go to the console and see if it actually works the way we want it. All right, our resources are created. Let's go to the browser and let's refresh here. And we will see that we have those two resources are the previous one. They already passed the health checks, but we can see that we have also new resources which are initializing the health check, and status is already running. But we can see that we have a name and we have a T2 and T3 micro. So it worked the way that we expected. So that is a very basic approach to how we create multiple resources with more flexibility or a little bit less flexibility depending on your needs. So that will be all for today. If you would like to see more of such content, please of course subscribe to the channel, and see ya in another one.